Shivbharati, the Ballads of Chhatrapati. An epic poetic tribute to the life, battles, and legacy of Shivaji Maharaj. A lion walks where fear must kneel. A storm that rides on hooves of steel. His name is Sag, his fire remains. For Shivaji's soul still rules these plains. This book is not just history, it is a song, a hymn, a battle cry. It is the echo of hooves upon the Sahyadri trails, the whisper of the wind through fort walls, the clash of steel as Swarajya rose against tyranny. Through poetry, we seek to relive Shivaji Maharaj's journey, not as mere words, but as rhythm and spirit. His victories, his struggles, his faith, and his indomitable will are retold here in verse, as they were once sung by the warriors who followed him. From the roaring battles of Pratapgarh to the silent defiance in Aurangzeb's court, from the devotion in Rohideshwar to the grandeur of Raigad, every poem is a tribute to the Chhatrapati whose fire still burns in the heart of Bharat. Let these verses take you back in time, where the mountains whispered secrets, the forts stood unshaken, and a man called Shivaji carved an empire out of the impossible.
Introduction.
Har Har Mahadev.
Not just a king, but a vision bright. A beacon through the darkest night. Not just a sword, but wisdom's might. A storm that set the world alight. In the 17th century, when darkness loomed over Bharat, when tyranny gripped its soil, a warrior rose, a dreamer, a strategist, a king. He was Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, the architect of Swarajya, the son of Bhavani, the protector of Dharma. His story is not just one of war, but of wisdom. Not just of courage, but of foresight. Not just of conquest, but of governance. A ruler who built a navy when no Indian king had one, who treated all faiths with respect, who honored women, who fought not for personal gain but for a greater cause. This book tells his story in poetry, capturing his life in 5 forms. 1. Epic poetry, grand verses that narrate his life's journey. 2. Narrative poems, stories of his battles and diplomacy. 3. Fort-based storytelling, the forts speak of their king. 4. Monologues in Shivaji's voice, his imagined words to foes and friends. 5. Devotional poetry, his faith, his spirituality, his unwavering devotion to Bhavani Mata. Let us step into the past, not as readers, but as travelers in time, through the words of warriors, the echoes of history, and the fire of a king who never bowed.
A devotional tribute. From sacred hills and temples old. A warrior forged in Bhavani's hold. Her guiding hand, her whispered might, led him forth, the storm, the light. Rise, O sun, my chosen one. Thy work on earth is yet undone. With sword in hand and heart so free, go carve the fate of destiny. Through fire and war, through blood and strife, he walked the path, he gave his life. Not for himself, nor earthly gain, but for his land, unbound from chain. His spirit stands where banners fly, in temple bells and battle cries. For Bhavani's son shall never die. His name resounds in earth and sky.
The oath at
Har Har
Rohideshwar.
Mahadev.
A poetic prelude to Swarajya. Beneath the sky so vast and wide, on Rohideshwar's sacred side, a boy stood tall, his eyes aflame. A dream was born, a rising name. The temple bells in silence told, as Jijabai, with heart consoled, placed her hands upon his crest. A mother's wish, a warrior's test. O son, this land, in chains it weeps, bound by tyrants, crushed so deep. But from the dust, a flame must rise, to tear the dark from Bharat's skies. The winds did stir, the earth did wake, as if the gods had heard her ache. The boy knelt down, his head held high. A solemn oath, the gods stood by. By Bhavani's sword and mountain's might, by Raigar's peaks and dawn's first light, I vow this land shall yet be free, a Swarajya built in dignity. The stars above did seem to gleam, as fate then forged this warrior's dream. From temple steps to battlefield, his vow was steel, his soul a shield. And so began the lion's tread. Through war and fire, through blood he bled. Yet never once did he resign, for Swarajya's oath was now divine. Thus, on a night of whispered fate, a king was sworn, a dream was great, and history heard with bated breath the rise of Shivaji beyond all death.
The roar of
Har
Pratapgarh,
Har Mahadev.
a warrior's triumph. The mountains stood in silent might, as darkness gathered, swallowing light. A tyrant marched with steel in hand, to crush the fire of this free land. Upon the heights of Pratap's crest, a warrior stood in war god's vest. His eyes burned fierce, his blade held tight, a stone prepared to seize the night. Afzal roars, his horde draws near, but hearts of stone shall know no fear. For every tyrant fate does weave a tale of ruin they can't believe. The mountain winds began to howl. A tiger leaped, a lion growled. Blades did flash, and daggers swayed, as destiny in blood was laid. Through dust and cries, through steel and pain, the Maratha swords danced like rain. And when the dawn had kissed the land, Afzal lay cold, slain by his hand. The drums then roared, the echoes flew. A kingdom rose, a legend grew. The lion marched, his path was clear, for Swarajya's dawn had now drawn near. Thus, Pratapgarh became the song, where tyrants fell and right stood strong, where echoes still in winds declare that freedom lives with those who dare.
Shivaji's just
Har
rule,
Har
the
Mahadev.
king of fairness, a ruler's grace and justice. Not by might nor blade alone did Shivaji ascend the throne. With justice firm and heart so wide, he ruled with truth as Swarajya's guide. No woman wept in fear of fate, for in his land none met such state. The laws he forged, both kind and strong, ensured that none would suffer wrong. The farmer told, his harvest grew, with tax so fair and burden few. No hand did tremble, none did plead, for justice answered every need. From fort to field, from land to sea, his reign was marked with equity. A ruler firm, yet just and wise, a sovereign true in people's eyes. Thus, Shivaji's name forever stays, a beacon bright in justest ways. The king who stood for every life, and ruled with love beyond all strife.
I am Raigarh,
Har Har Mahadev.
the throne of a king. Upon my peaks so high and grand, the lion's dream took its stand. A throne of stone, a voice so bold, in my embrace his story told. I watched him rise, I felt his might. I bore his oath, I saw his light. With walls of strength and gates of steel, I stood as guard to his ideal. His coronation graced my halls, a king who heard his people's calls. The saffron flag did touch the sky. A realm was born, a battle cry. Through storms of war and winds of fate, I stood unshaken, proud, innate. Though time may pass and rulers fade, his spirit walks within my shade. I am Raigarh, I still remain, a symbol bright beyond all pain. For in my stones, his echoes ring, the voice of Shivaji, the warrior king.
Shivaji's wisdom,
Har Har
the light
Mahadev.
of Dharma, his spiritual philosophy and moral values. A king is more than sword and shield, but wisdom's light upon the field. Justice must guide the ruler's hand, for strength alone cannot command. From Bhavani's grace, his spirit grew, a path of truth, a vision true. No creed nor caste did he divide, for every soul stood dignified. His voice was firm, yet heart was kind, a leader's strength with love aligned. He spoke of honor, deeds so pure, that time itself would long endure. Not wealth, nor throne, nor conquest vast, but Dharma's path would ever last. For Shivaji, a warrior bright, was Dharma's sword, its guiding light. Thus, in his ways, we find our guide, a beacon strong, our nation's pride. His words still echo, far and free, a lesson deep for you and me.
Shivaji's
Har
letter
Har
to
Mahadev.
Aurangzeb. A monarch's defiance. O Emperor of Delhi's might, you send your armies, dark as night. Yet I remain, a flame so high, unyielding, though your banners fly. You rule with chains, with force and fear, but freedom's voice still echoes clear. This land is mine, not yours to claim. A warrior's soul, a sovereign name. Your court may scorn, your scribes may lie, but truth remains and will not die. For every fort and hill shall stand, to guard the pride of Maratha land. Your offers come, laced with deceit, yet I will never know defeat. Not wealth, nor throne, nor Mughal might can dim my sword's unyielding light. So send your legions, let them try, like waves that crash but pass on by. For Shivaji lives, his dream burns bright, a beacon in the endless night.
The escape from
Har Har
Agra,
Mahadev.
a dance with destiny. The chains were forged, the gates stood tall, a lion caged in tyrant's hall. Yet in his heart, the embers glowed, a path unseen, a fate bestowed, a banquet laid, a mocking jest. Aurangzeb thought, his foe suppressed. Yet Shivaji's mind, a sharpened blade, would carve escape through shadows laid. In silence deep, the whispers ran. A plot was drawn, a daring plan. Sweetened gifts, in boxes wide, would be the horse on which he'd ride. A merchant's garb, a fleeting glance. Through guarded halls, a deadly dance. A father's hand, his son held tight, to phantoms lost in cloak of night. Through winding streets, through silent cries, the wind did roar with Maratha ties. A bolt of flame, a vanished breath. From Agra's grip, he fled from death. So history tells of shackles torn, of kings unbound, of dawn reborn. For fate may trap, but never tame, the one who rides on freedom's flame.
Shivaji's
Har
just
Har
rule,
Mahadev.
the king of fairness. A ruler's grace and justice. Not by might nor blade alone did Shivaji ascend the throne. With justice firm and heart so wide, he ruled with truth as Swarajya's guide. No woman wept in fear of fate, for in his land none met such state. The laws he forged, both kind and strong, ensured that none would suffer wrong. The farmer toiled, his harvest grew, with tax so fair and burden few. No hand did tremble, none did plead, for justice answered every need. From fort to field, from land to sea, his reign was marked with equity. A ruler firm, yet just and wise, a sovereign true in people's eyes. Thus, Shivaji's name forever stays, a beacon bright in justest ways. The king who stood for every life, and ruled with love beyond all strife.
Panhala's
Har
midnight
Har
escape.
Mahadev.
A storm in the night. The winds did howl, the skies grew dark. A lion caged, a fading spark. The siege had tightened, walls were torn, yet hope was fierce, resolve was sworn. Sly footsteps whispered through the night. A secret path, a fleeting flight. Through forest deep and mountain high. The Maratha hearts refused to die. Baji Prabhu, a warrior true, stood firm as fate the battle drew. Go forth, my king, and take your stand. I guard this pass with sword in hand. Blades did clash, the echoes rang. 8,000 foes, yet still he sang. With dying breath, his oath he kept. As through the gorge, the lion leapt. Dawn arose on Vishalgad's height. The king stood free, the world alight. A warrior lost, a kingdom won. A tale retold till time is done. Thus Panhala, in storm and strife, bore witness to the fearless life. For freedom's flame can never fade, where warriors fight and wars are made.
The ocean's
Har
thunder.
Har Mahadev.
His naval vision. Upon the waves so vast and free, a warrior dreamed of sovereignty. No chains would bind, no foes would tread upon the waters where Marathas led. The winds did howl, the tides did rise, yet vision burned within his eyes. A navy strong, a fleet so grand, to guard the shores, to rule the sand. No empire vast, no foreign king would take his land beneath their wing. For ships would sail, and cannons roar, to shield the coast forevermore. Sindhudurg rose, a fortress bright, a beacon fierce in ocean's light. With walls of stone and heart of flame, it stood to guard his kingdom's name. The merchants came, the traders passed, yet Maratha might would ever last. From Konkan's shores to distant seas, his flag did wave upon the breeze. Thus Shivaji, with wisdom deep, awoke the lion from its sleep. For land and sea, his rule was wide. A sovereign force, a nation's pride.
Sinhagar's
Har
last
Har
stand.
Mahadev.
A warrior's sacrifice. Upon the cliff so high and steep, a battle raged, the night ran deep. A warrior stood, his duty clear, to guard the fort he held so dear. The enemy came in endless waves, yet Tanaja's heart was bold and brave. His sword did dance, his shield held tight, a beacon fierce in darkest night. With sinew torn and breath grown weak, still fire burned within his cheek. For Swarajya, for king and land, he fought with strength, his final stand. The lion fell, the echoes cried, yet in his fall, the foe had died. The Marathas claimed their rightful place, with valor bright and death embraced. Thus, Sinhagar in dawn's first light bore witness to his fearless fight. His name resounds in winds so strong, a hero's tale, a warrior's song.
Sambhaji, the
Har Har
vision of a
Mahadev.
prince. A legacy of fire. Born to thunder, raised in steel. A prince who knew his fate was real. No fear could break his iron will. His father's dream he swore to fill. He rode with fire, he ruled with grace. A warrior bold, a royal face. Through trials dark and battles grim, the Maratha flame was lit in him. The oceans roared beneath his hand. A navy strong to guard the land. No foreign foot nor tyrant's chain would cast its shadow on his reign. He stood alone in Aurang's hall, refused to bend, refused to fall. Through torture cruel and pain untold, his spirit burned, his heart stayed bold. Thus Sambhaji, in fire and fight, kept Swarajya's dream alight. His name still echoes in the land. A king who chose to make his stand.
Jijabai's
Har
vision,
Har Mahadev.
expressing his dreams. O mother mine, my guiding light, You taught me strength, you gave me sight. With tales of Ram and Bharat's lore, you lit the fire in my core. I dream of lands both free and bold, where none are chained, where none are sold. A realm where justice walks with grace, and tyranny has lost its place. With sword in hand and faith so true, I march to build the world anew. A Swarajya, strong and bright, a kingdom bathed in freedom's light. Through fort and field, through wave and sky, this dream of ours shall never die. For every step, my soul does yearn to see the land for which you burn. Thus, through your words, my path is shown. A mother's dream, a seed now grown. And in my heart, forever stays your guiding voice, my strength, always.
The capture of
Har Har
Torna Fort.
Mahadev.
The first step toward Swarajya. Upon the hills so high and steep, a fortress lay in silent sleep. Its walls had stood, so strong, so proud. Yet fate had called, the time was now. With stealth and speed, the Mavalas crept through shadowed paths, while sentries slept. No fear they knew, no doubt they bore. For Swarajya's light, they waged this war. A clash of steel, a cry so loud, as dawn arose from misty shroud. Through broken gates, the banner soared. A saffron sun, a lion's roar. No foreign rule would claim this land, for now it lay in Maratha hands. The first of many, bold and bright, a flame that set the world alight. Thus, Torna stood, a symbol free of Shivaji's rise of destiny. And with this fort, his journey swayed toward Swarajya, strongly laid.
Netaji Palkar,
Har Har
the
Mahadev.
loyal general. A tribute to Shivaji's trusted commander. Upon the fields where battles rode, a warrior rose, his heart adored. Through storm and fire, he held the line. A blade of steel, or will divine. Netaji stood, both fierce and true. A name the foes of Swarajya knew. His voice was thunder, his sword a flame. He fought for honor, not for fame. Through every siege, through every fight, he led with courage, burned so bright. Beside his king, through thick and thin, his loyalty ran deep within. When trials came, when chains were laid, his heart remained, it never swayed. For even when the night was long, his faith in Shivaji stayed strong. Thus, history sings of one so bold. A general fears, a heart of gold. For Netaji, in duty vast, remains a legend unsurpassed.
Mavalas,
Har
the
Har
unsung
Mahadev.
warriors, celebrating the common Maratha soldiers' courage. Through mountain mist and valley deep, they marched where others feared to creep. No crown they sought, no gold they claimed. Yet history shines upon their names. With bloodied hands and steadfast will, they climbed the forts, they charged to kill. For Shivaji, their oath was sworn to guard the land where they were born. No throne they held, no titles grand. Yet every step, they shaped this land. For every fort and battle won, their spirits rose with every sun. Through fire and storm, through steel and fight, they turned the dark to morning light. Unsung, unseen, yet ever near, their courage echoed, strong and clear. Thus, Mavalas, in silent grace, hold Swarajya's honored place. For kings may reign, and wars may cease, but their sacrifice shall never cease.
The warrior and the
Har
sage.
Har Mahadev.
Shivaji's interactions with Samarth Ramdas. Amidst the hills where rivers run, a sage did sit, a warrior young. One bore wisdom, calm and bright. The other burned, a flame in night. O child of fate, so bold, so free. What dream compels your soul to be? Thus spoke the saint, his eyes so wise, as Shivaji bowed with humbled cries. I dream of land, of rule so just, where kings do lead with noble trust. No tyrant's grip, no foreign chain, but Dharma's light to end all pain. The sage then smiled, his hand did rise. Then walk this path with fearless eyes. Let truth be shield, let faith be spear. For warriors thrive where none show fear. Thus, in the glow of temple's flame, a bond was forged, beyond just name. A king, a sage, a vision vast. A dream of Swarajya, built to last. Thus, in their words, the echoes ring of wisdom's depth and courage's wing. For Shivaji's heart and Ramdas' grace together shaped a kingdom's face.
Dharmavir,
Har
protector of
Mahadev.
all faiths. Shivaji's respect for different religions. Not sword alone, nor might of hand, but justice bright would rule his land. A king so bold, a heart so wide, he held all faiths within his stride. No temple burned, no mosque laid bare, for in his reign all found their share. The land was free, the people strong. No creed was chained, no prayer wrong. The fakir's song, the Brahman's lore, the church's bell, the farmer's store, all found peace beneath his wing. A righteous heart, a warrior king. Let Dharma guide, let justice reign. No soul shall suffer unjust pain. For faith is light, and light must shine through every path, both yours and mine. Thus, Shivaji, both fierce and wise, stood tall beneath the boundless skies. A king of faith, a shield so bright, who ruled with love, with truth, with light.
The sword and the
Har
quill.
Har Mahadev.
How Shivaji balanced military might with wisdom. A warrior fierce, a scholar wise. He ruled with strength and keenest eyes. Not just the blade, nor war alone, but wisdom carved his mighty throne. Where cannons roared and sabers clashed, his mind ensured the storms had passed. For every fort, for every fight, a letter penned would set things right. He spoke with kings, with lords of might, yet knew when words surpassed the fight. A quill so sharp, a sword so true, with both, his realm and justice grew. Not wrath but law, not fear but grace. He built a land of strength and faith, where learning thrived, where peace was sown, a kingdom carved not just by stone. Thus, Shivaji, both bold and bright, wielded wisdom, wielded might. For swords may break, and battles still, but history bows to those with quill.
The coronation
Har
at
Har
Raigad.
Mahadev.
The grandeur and significance of his ascension. The sun arose on Raigad's height. A golden dawn, a sacred rite. The drums did roll, the conch did sound, as gathered crowds stood all around. The saffron flag, it kissed the sky. A kingdom born, a dream so high. Upon the throne, with grace and might, Sat Shivaji, a beacon bright. The Brahmans chanted, voices strong, a hymn of rule, of right, of song. Not just a king, but fate's own choice. A leader bold, the people's voice. With waters brought from sacred streams, they bade the king, they crowned his dreams. The sword of Bhavani, raised with pride, declared Swarajya far and wide. The chains of fear were torn apart, for justice burned within his heart. No tyrant's word, no foreign claim, could shake the roots of freedom's flame. Thus, Raigad stands in time so vast, a witness to a vow held fast. For Shivaji, with hand so strong, brought Swarajya, proud and long.
The eternal flame
Har
of
Har
Swarajya.
Mahadev.
His lasting impact on Indian history. He walked this land with sword and shield. A warrior king, a fate revealed. Yet more than war and battles won. His light still shines, his work not done. From Maratha hills to ocean's tide. His vision soared, his dream spread wide. A torch he lit, its fire burned strong. Through time, through hearts, through battle song. No empire's weight, no tyrant's chain could break the vow that would remain. For freedom's breath, for justice bright. His name still rose in morning light. Not just in forts or war he stayed, but in the hearts of those he swayed. A leader fierce, yet wise and true, who shaped the world we look unto. Thus, in each call of Har Har Mahadev, his spirit walks, so bold, so brave. For Swaraj's fire will never die, as long as truth and honor fly.
The thunder that
Har
shook
Har
empires. His effect on the Mughals and British. A lion rose from Sahyadri's might. A spark that set the world alight. No throne was safe, no tyrant free. When Shivaji rode his destiny, the Mughals sent their endless hordes. Yet shattered fell their mightiest swords. From Surat's gold to Agra's walls, his name would echo through their halls. The British watched, their whispers ran. Here rides a force no king can ban. Their fleets held strong, their guns stood tall. Yet feared his fire would burn them all. No chains could hold, no threat could tame the warrior king who changed the game. For every battle, fort, and fight, he carved a path of fearless light. Thus, empires shook and kingdoms fell. Yet Swarajya rose, alive and well. For even now, through time's embrace, his thunder roars, his steps still chase.
The assault on
Har
Surat.
Har Mahadev.
Shivaji's strategic raid to weaken the Mughal economy. Through golden streets of wealth untold, Surat stood proud, its coffers gold. A merchant's dream, a tyrant's feast. A city fed by trade's increase. But far away, in hills so high, a lion watched with piercing eye. No king of greed, no emperor's hand would drain the lifeblood of his land. With silent steps and battle's grace, he marched to strike, he set the pace. Through gates flung wide and fear grown deep, the Marathas surged with tiger's leap. No homes were razed, no women cried, for honor stood by Shivaji's side. Yet wealth was seized, the tyrant bled. A lesson fierce, a message spread. For in this strike, a warning lay. No empire's greed shall hold its sway. Surat trembled, Aurangzeb seethed. Yet Swarajya's breath was free to breathe. Thus, in the echoes of that fight, a kingdom rose, its future bright. For Shivaji, with sword and mind, had struck the chains that sought to bind.
The oath
Har
renewed.
Har Mahadev.
How his legacy inspired the future. The lion's roar, though time moves on, still echoes bright, still lingers strong. His fire burned, his dream took flight, and warriors rose to guard his light. From hills of Maharashtra's pride, to fields where freedom's martyrs died, his name was called, his path was tread by those who fought where justice led. The Peshwas rode with swords held high. Their battle cry split through the sky. From Panipat to distant sands, his vision ruled in countless lands. And years would pass, yet still he stayed within the hearts that were not swayed. Till freedom's fight, in years anew, would march with voices brave and true. Till Gandhi spoke of strength untamed. Till Bhagat roared his mighty name. Till India broke the foreign chain and stood as free, unbowed again. Thus, Swarajya's oath remains a beacon bright through joy and pain. For as long as hearts in truth abide, Shivaji walks, our nation's guide.
Sambhaji's
Har
promise.
Har Mahadev.
A son's duty to a father's dream. Upon the throne, so fierce, so grand, a son now held his father's land. Yet with the crown came weight untold, a burden vast, a heart so bold. The fires still burned, the battles raged. The lion's force remained engaged. No time for grief, no space for rest. A warrior's fate, a king's great test. O father mine, your dream stands tall? Your oath still echoes through these halls. This land you loved, this soul so free, shall never bow, shall never flee. Through storm and steel, through blood and pain, he bore the weight, he took the strain. A son who swore to stand and fight, to keep the flame of truth alight. The world may test, the tyrants rise, yet never dimmed the warrior eyes. For Swarajya's call still filled his veins. A father's dream, a son's great chains. Thus, Sambhaji stood, unbowed, unchained. Through trials vast, through battles stained. A promise made, a vow so deep. A son's resolve, a dream to keep.
The Queen's strength.
Har Har Mahadev.
The women who stood by Shivaji. Not just the sword, nor battle's call, but women strong who stood so tall. Through storm and strife, through war and pain, they held the fort, they bore the strain. Jijabai, with wisdom vast, shaped the king who would outlast. Her tales of Ram, her guiding hand, built Swarajya, bold and grand. Deep in halls where whispers ran, stood queens of steel, who shaped the man. Through letters sent, through counsel wise, their voices rose, their minds advised. They were the shields, the silent might, the torch that burned in darkest night. With every word, with every tear, they carved a path for him so clear. Thus, through time their names still stand, as pillars firm in Maratha land. For behind the blade, behind the crown, a woman's strength would never drown.
Raigarh's lament.
Har Har Mahadev.
The king's last days. The wind did howl on Raigarh's height. A silent fort, a fading light. The warrior lay in shadow's veil. His breath grew soft, his face grew pale. The walls that bore his battle cries now whispered low in mournful sighs. No foe had struck, no sword had swayed, yet time itself his strength betrayed. His eyes still burned, his heart still bold, yet chains of fate took steady hold. His hands once strong, his voice once loud, now met the horse, now met the shroud. O Mother Bhavani, guide my way. Let Swarajya never fade away. May every fort and mountain steep forever guard the land I keep. The lamps were dim, the dawn was near, yet Raigarh's stones still held him dear. And though his form did rest that day, his dream, his flame would never stray. Thus, though the lion closed his eyes, his thunder echoes in the skies. For Raigarh weeps, but does not fall. His name still rose, still leads us all.
Forts of
Har
Swarajya.
Har Mahadev.
The silent guardians of freedom. Not just of stone, not just of might. These forts were flames in darkest night. Upon their walls, the echoes rang. Of battles fears and war cries sang. Todna stood, the first to rise, a beacon bright in freedom's skies. Raigarh, high with banners proud, a throne where kings defied the shroud. From Sinhagarh to Pratapgarh's crest, each stone was oath, each gate a test. Through siege and storm, through blood and flame, They held the dream, they bore his name. These walls had heard his warriors tread, had seen them fight, had seen them bled. Yet never once did they despair, for Shivaji's will still lingered there. Thus, forts still stand on mountain steep, as sentinels that watch and weep. For though the years may rise and wane, their silent roar shall still remain. Har Har Mahadev.